You're at work and something came up. You have to ask your coworker to cover for you again. She just covered for you last week. If you were in this situation, you'd probably feel a bit nervous because you know that asking her to cover for you again is a lot. We're asking for something big. Big because what we're asking for is difficult, unusual, too much, or a lot. These situations are called big asks or tall orders. Today we're going to learn two phrases that we can use for big asks or tall orders at work, like when you're asking for time off, or in your personal life, like when you're asking someone to borrow something. We're going to head out to my favorite cafe that I like to go to before I head to the gym. I'm getting a late start today because my air conditioner started to leak last night, so I had to deal with that situation unexpectedly. But as I walk over there and show you a little bit about the neighborhood that I'm staying in, I want you to think about what was the last big ask or tall order that you had to ask for. So the cafe that we're walking to is not that far from the apartment that I'm staying in. This is the alleyway that I walk down through every day to get to the cafe. The alleys here in Saigon are the arteries of the city. A lot of the great food, interesting things to see, to smell, you can find in all of the alleys that crisscross and connect the city. Time to cross the street in Vietnam, which is always an adventure, although this one's pretty calm. Got to look both ways, up, down, all around. You never know where a motorbike may come from. Back to the original situation of asking your coworker to cover for you. You can't just go up to her and ask her, hey, can you cover for me again? That sounds a bit demanding. So one phrase you could use is, I was wondering if. For example, you may ask your friend, hey, I was wondering if I could borrow your car. The reason why this is a better choice is because by wondering, it shows that you have been thinking about asking or not asking, because it might be a bit too much to ask for that particular thing. So it's a bit more sensitive and you avoid sounding so demanding. You start your day at the cafe, have your strong coffee that gets you going, makes you feel like you could chase down a tiger, or makes you feel like you're being chased by a tiger. And then you go to work. And in my case, I go to the gym. It's a place to take a break, either start your day or take a break from the heat or from your work, and hang out and just people watch. Watch the people walking by, riding by in their motorbikes, and sip and drink your coffee. The second phrase you can use is there any chance I could, or is there any chance you could? For example, you may go up to your boss and ask them, is there any chance I could take 2 weeks for my next vacation next month? Now, this phrase is usually for things that are a bit bigger asks or taller orders. And if you're wondering, asking for 2 weeks vacation can be a big ask in the United States. using the phrase, is there any chance, it shows that you know and understand that what you're asking for is a big ask or tall order, and that there might be a chance they will say no, or actually a good chance they will say no. And it puts less pressure on them to actually say yes. This is Cafe Den, which is something I did not know before coming to Vietnam, is how they serve the coffee. They serve it alongside with some tea, a light tea, and I think it's supposed to maybe cut the strong bitterness. How would you ask your coworker to cover for you again? You could go up to them and say, hey, I know it's a big ask, but I was wondering if you could cover for me again tomorrow. Or, hey, I know it's a big ask, but is there any chance you could cover for me again tomorrow? This was not a habit for me in the United States. If I drank coffee, I would pick it up, more than likely to go, and drink it on my way to whatever I was going to do next. But now I actually quite enjoy taking it a bit easy, slowing down. I actually spend about an hour here just sort of mentally getting prepared for the day, not rushing, getting my headspace right for the rest of the day. And it's become quite a habit that I enjoy. Often we have big asks of ourselves. For example, before I left the United States 3 years ago, I had been wondering if I could live abroad for a long time in a foreign country. At the time, it seemed like a tall order, but now I'm very comfortable with my current lifestyle. So let me ask you, what's one big ask or tall order that you've been wondering if you could do? Ready to take your English to the next level? Join Mindful English, my online learning community where intermediate learners practice real English with real people from around the world. Start with an individual lesson if you're a beginner, or dive into advanced coaching if you're ready. From group lessons and live meetups to feedback workshops and daily chats with fellow English scholars, we've got everything you need to level up. If it's not too much of a big ask, if you could subscribe, like, or comment on my video, I would appreciate it.